Hey guys, Gianna Cambria here from Upper Hand Creative, and today I'm talking about the number one thing that you need before you start publishing content to social media for your business. And I'm super passionate about this, and I know there's probably a difference of opinions out there. Some people say just start posting content. I am highly against that, and here's why. Last video earlier, depending on when you're watching this, we talked about the 4 things when it comes to brand marketing that will make or break you. And branding in general will make or break you. The reason that I say that you need this before you start posting content is because of branding. So we talked about how branding builds trust, it builds loyalty, it builds a foundation literally that your business will live on. It builds longevity. It ensures that you're not going to be a one-hit wonder and you're going to last, for a few years and then you're going to fizzle out. It ensures that people are drawn to you. They have an emotional connection to you and they want to be part of whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's a product, a service, a movement. Doesn't matter, right? That is what branding does and the purpose that it serves. So that has to be reflected from day one in your social media. And I talk about the cost of a bad first impression. If you don't put thought into this initially, you will have to overcome that bad first impression. Now, it's a matter of how many people see that at the beginning. And depending on how much traffic you're getting, could be a lot, could be a little, but either way, you now have a hurdle that you have to overcome and you have to work at and throw money at to overcome that bad first impression, that bad first taste in people's mouths. So not only it helps you avoid that bad first impression, but it builds higher perceived value right off the bat, which means not only are you going to attract people to you quicker and sooner and on a deeper level, but you're going to attract the right people, which is worth more than 1 million people in your audience if they're the wrong people versus 100 of the perfect clients. So what is it? What is the number one thing you have to have done before you start publishing content? Your brand book. Sometimes referred to as your brand Bible, your brand style book, your brand guidebook, whatever. And there's a couple different styles out there that you can do. And actually, I walk through this process in our book, The Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Building an Online Brand. It's step 4, building your branding Bible. But basically, it's telling you what your post will look and sound like. It does include elements of brand voice. So even if you're not doing graphics on social media, even if you're just gonna do photos and captions or blog posts, this needs to be done beforehand, right? Visually or how you sound, how you present yourself. Both of those are included in your brand book. So essentially every decision you ever make about your brand moving forward will be based off what's in your brand style book. And it's important to stay true to that because again, it goes back to that human connection. If you're wishy-washy, if you're inconsistent, if you're not showing up the same way every time in a way that relates to who you are at the core as a brand, then people aren't going to be drawn to you. They're going to be a little on edge and not know why. There's not going to be trust there. And so you've got to know, what is your brand going to look like? What is it going to sound like? And that is all defined in your branding book. Again, this doesn't have to take long. Once you do that internal work to figure out who you are as a brand and what you stand for, you can knock this out pretty quickly. And in fact, you could even hire us at Upper Hand Creative. We can get this done for you for the first 30 days or so if you have that internal work done. So definitely something that you want to have a professional graphic designer do for you because this is going to be part of that foundation. So what's in a brand book? What do you need? So first and foremost, you need to have that internal work done. The mission, the vision, the values, that type of thing. And also know who your ideal client is, creating that customer avatar. Once you have that done, there are generally anywhere from like 4 to 10 different components to go in a branding book. So let's walk through that really quick. The first is some key component about brand identity. This basically sums up all the internal work you did. If you've got a mission statement, a vision statement, values, who we are not, are we casual in our tone? Are we more formal? Those types of things, which will filter into your brand voice as well, but it's your brand identity. Another piece of this, especially if you're going to be doing networking events or you're going to bring people onto your team or people are going to have questions about what it is that you do, it's a good idea to create a 30-second elevator pitch based on who you are as a brand here as well. So that's first and foremost. Second is the visual side of things. And most of this is going to be visual. Number 1 really sums up the voice, but number 2 would be your logo and any derivatives, right? So your brand is not just your logo. It is a key component where everything else is based off that, but you want to have your logo and then any proper uses. So can you put a color overlay over your logo? Or is it restricted to only a certain 2 colors? Can I put my logo in red or can I put it in black or neither? Does it have to be the main color, right? Those types of things. Can you tilt it at all or rotate it at all, or is it supposed to stay on this plane? So all of those things are listed. Proper uses of your logo and improper uses of your logo, essentially. Number 3, this is especially important if you're going to be doing any sort of graphics, headlines, even blog posts, right? Even if it's just text, knowing what typefaces you're going to be using. Be selective about this. Make sure it fits your brand identity, as should everything that you do visually. But essentially, you want to spell out, okay, for web font, we use this typeface at this size. For headlines, we use this one. For style text, we use this. Whatever it may be, you want to be super clear on those typefaces and only stick to those with everything you do from here on out. That's why it's so important to have this done before you start posting that content. It makes a difference. It just builds that cohesive feel, that consistency, that authenticity, and lets people know who you are. And again, helps you show up the way that you intend to show up. Number 3 is typefaces. The 4th is color palette. So this is the one where you want to include the little hex cues and the hashtag with the numbers. And I know I work in graphic design and I'm not super technical on that, so I don't know the proper term, but essentially the code for the color that your designer will be using. And you want to be specific, right? This is why we don't just say blue, because it's going to be a very specific shade of blue. And again, things are going to look very off if you start using the wrong colors. So what's your color palette? What are appropriate colors that can be used within your brand? List them all out. And then the 5th thing, sometimes optional, I like to do this, especially just the way that we put together content on social media, textures and backgrounds. So are there any specific textures and backgrounds that you use throughout your brand, maybe as the background of a quote board, social media graphic, or maybe as the background for any other graphic or your website, whatever it may be? Is there a specific pattern or texture that you'll be using? Maybe it's anywhere from 2 to 5. Just put those in your brand book. So hopefully that helps. Get your brand book done before you start publishing content. And again, if you want some help, step-by-step help walking through the process of building your brand, make sure you download our free ebook down below, The Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Building an Online Brand. All right, see you later.